Welcome everyone back to Encompass. We're here at the marina in the park, and I have with me today Stephen. Stephen is going to talk to us about ritual.
Lots of rituals that are happening that I find very concerning. I think they're reshaping our society in ways that are maybe not healthy for people who want to get together based on maybe shared values or have shared experiences. And so what I feel now is that there's a lot of there's a big push, maybe from outside forces to drastically change the way we engage with each other. And I would say that one of the fundamental ways that's sort of being forgotten is this idea of ritual, right? Where people come together and they know they have sort of a prescribed routine that they're going to go through, whether it be a ritual for themselves or a ritual with the group. And so that, I feel really passionately about that, where it's like, my biggest concern is that I see things like the way children used to interact in groups, right? And I think we only have to repeat a ritual so many times before it becomes ingrained in what could be called as the new normal. And so that's, it's not saying anything, whether, people should or shouldn't be, doing these things like wearing masks. Obviously everyone's got their feelings about it, and I'm sure everyone wants to be doing the right thing. But I think from the broader perspective of humanity as a whole, we face threats all the time to our, to us as a species and how we actually cohabit with other species on this planet. It's very important. So they do smoke from time to time, and you get into this habit of just smoking, and you lose the ritual. But you go back and you find there actually was a ritual around this idea of, say, like smoking the peace pipe, where it's like, and the sharing of things, right? You sort of see that in, whether it be with a joint or a pipe, so that people actually pass it around, and you find this communal thing that sort of happens there. And I think it's sort of happening that people aren't really aware of this ritual that's like saying that when I put something in my mouth and I pass it on, like what they did, when they drink out of a common bowl and pass it on. It's actually a very, it's saying that like I trust, it's like I trust you with me, right? Right? I trust that we're going to be in the same circle, that we can share the same path, and that's what would be one very powerful ritual that you would say now is almost, look at it as being unsafe or. I think like for us this year, it's like one of the rituals, old rituals, which I really wasn't that much of a fan of, was this idea of Christmas. Had kind of become commercialized, and so it's not really tied to what it used to be, whether you believe in the Christian perspective or some of the other ones like Yule. It all become about the shopping and the gifting, and there's good things in that as well as being able to show someone you love them with some material item and getting together with them. And so there's some positive in it, but for the most part I didn't like the ritual at all. And this year I found myself embracing Christmas more than ever, actually, because it's like, now that it's the Christmas that we knew had to be something different. And so what we did is we set up a Christmas tree out in the front yard instead of inside the house, right? So we actually got a tree from the forest, and we set it out in the front yard and decorated it and put everything out, and we had all these extra toys that we couldn't donate to the thrift stores, right? And that was sort of maybe an old thing where it's like, you have this excess, you give it away, and of course it's because of the times they weren't taking things. So what we did is actually on Christmas Eve, we put all the toys out on a table in front of a sign that said, misfit toys need new friends or something like that. And I was like, a little skeptical that some of these used toys would even go, right? And what we found was that people were stopping all day picking up these toys. And I think it's like, how wonderful is that maybe people are, at this time don't have as much money, so they couldn't get to the store, it was too inconvenient to go to the store. And we saw almost all these toys, books, CDs, all get picked up. We saw people stopping, taking pictures, moms grabbing things, obviously for their kids or, kids that they know. And it was wonderful. So that was like, I was talking to my cousin who lives at the same house, and he says, what a beautiful new tradition, right? If this was part of our, something you've got to kind of adapt creatively and say, well, how can you still have a sense of community, right? In a way that, with these people, when you have to have this distance, right? And so actually I found with this, in this particular instance, it actually opened things up to people you probably never would have met before. So maybe the idea that, you know, that we're actually restricted, well, that's partially in our minds, right? And is that we have to use that creative energy to think outside of the ways that we're being restricted and think of how can we work with this sort of new paradigm in a way where we can still connect, have a sense of community and culture, you know, based on shared values.